Is this the last dance or the start of Blackpink's strongest era yet? As the tour lights fade and the timelines calm down, that question keeps coming back. The answer isn't hidden in riddles. It's in what we just watched, what the members are building now, and what their contracts actually allow. Let's walk through it clearly, and at the end of each chapter, I'll point to what's coming next so you always know where we're headed. First, we need to talk about why this tour felt so different from the moment it was announced. The rollout didn't glide in, it slammed down. Stadium dates arrived quickly, and the promise of brand new music was smaller than many expected. Instead of the classic sequence, teasers, a full comeback, then a tour, the order flipped. That alone split the room. Some fans saw this as a declaration of confidence. We're huge, let's move. Others felt unprepared, like the ground shifted under them. Inside the venues, the conversation got even louder. A few clips caught missed cues and tired moments. Other angles showed tight choreography, big vocals, and walls of sound from the crowd. That contradiction makes sense in giant rooms. What you hear and what you film depends on where you sit and how the mic hits the air. None of this means people imagined the rough edges. It means the reality was mixed. Some nights were sharp, others needed polish. That's a normal truth in stadium touring, just magnified when every second ends up online. What the tour did prove is simple. Demand is still there. Even with a non-traditional setup, the group can pull massive crowds and dominate a city for a night. But it also proved that the margin for error is paper thin, where a tiny wobble becomes a headline and a short set becomes a story. At this level, the microscope never turns off. Now, if the show raised questions, the paperwork answers a few of them. Let's clear up the contract confusion, plainly. Blackpink renewed their contract for group activities. That's official. At the same time, the members chose independent homes for their solo careers. In plain language, when it's Blackpink, it's under the group umbrella. When it's solo, each member runs her own lane. This is not a breakup, it's a structure that keeps the group alive for big moments and gives each member freedom the rest of the year. This setup is what explains the pacing. You can't just snap your fingers and magically create a group era when 4 separate calendars are moving at full speed. Schedules have to lock, budgets have to align, visuals and choreo have to be built around bodies that are already working hard elsewhere. If the timeline feels slower, it's because the machine has more moving parts than before. That's not sabotage, that's growth. And to see how that growth actually looks, just follow each member beyond the group stage. You can read the model in the moves. Jennie set up a creative home where she can shape her sound and image without a middleman. Jisoo built a space that lets her balance screens and stages on her own terms. Lisa launched her company and stepped into prestige TV, placing her brand in rooms that run on global storytelling, not just chart stats. Rosé linked with partners who can take her voice into new markets with real muscle behind it. These aren't side paths, they're main roads. And here's why that matters to Blackpink. When each member levels up outside the group, she brings that power back in. Stronger teams, clearer aesthetics, sharper instincts. The next time the 4 meet in the center, they're not only performers, they're decision makers. The energy changes when the stage is a choice, not a requirement. You can feel that difference before the first chorus. If the solos explain the pacing, the legacy explains the stakes. Let's talk about why walking away now would be leaving money and history on the table. It's easy to forget how rare this position is. The last major cycle wasn't just good, it was record level in attendance and gross. Beyond charts, they earned recognition that lives outside the music bubble, the kind of cultural status that opens doors other artists never even see. That blend of commercial weight and public prestige is a moat. You don't toss it because a few clips trend the wrong way. You protect it, pace it, and spend it only when it counts. This is the logic behind fewer, bigger moves. When the brand is this valuable, the goal isn't to be everywhere. The goal is to be undeniable when you do show up. That means cleaner sets, sharper mixes, and arrangements that make old hits feel new again. It means taking time between chapters so each one lands like an event, not a routine. The math favors patience. So if the why is clear, the next question is how. What does the next stretch actually look like when this strategy is working? The debates around sound, energy, and set length weren't random noise. They were a diagnosis. Fans weren't angry because the group is fading. They were frustrated because they care, and because the bar is high. The good news is that most of the issues people raised have straightforward fixes. Timing tightens with rehearsals built for stadium spacing, not just practice rooms. Sound gets cleaner with smarter mic choices and careful venue-to-venue tuning. Older songs wake up with new bridges, reharmonized hooks, or extended dance breaks that only exist on tour. These are practical steps, not reinventions. When those steps happen, the whole narrative flips. One crisp rollout, one short but focused music drop, and a live set that breathes in the right places can erase months of arguing in a single weekend. People aren't actually asking for miracles. They're asking for intention. Intention brings us to pacing, not different futures, just one path that speeds up or slows down. Here's what that path feels like from the audience's side. Blackpink has one road: stay a group, hit big, and protect the brand. The speed changes with the season. In a quick season, you'll feel a compact chapter. Just enough new music to light the fuse, a strong visual concept, and a surgical run of shows in the hungriest markets. It moves fast, hits hard, and leaves clean air for solo work to breathe. In a slower season, they'll keep the name warm with special stages, award night moments, or a single headline appearance that turns the timeline upside down without demanding a year of travel. And when the stars align, when filming wraps, releases land, and calendars unlock, you'll get the deep dive, a larger drop, a more layered story, and a run of dates that feels like a world tour, even if it's fewer cities. None of this points toward disbandment. It points toward timing, and timing is a choice, not a crisis. If timing is the compass, fans need clear landmarks. Here's how to read the moment without chasing rumors. You don't need secret codes. Watch the surface. When the members' solo channels go quiet at the same time, it usually means planning is happening behind the curtain. When the visual language starts to echo across different shoots, someone is syncing palettes. When major partners begin talking about international pushes in broader terms, the ground is being set for a bigger splash. These tells don't require insider access, just patience and a cool head. While you wait, it's fair to want better. Loving the group and asking for cleaner audio, braver arrangements, and tighter pacing are not opposites. That's how long careers survive. By meeting a high standard without losing the core that made people show up in the first place. Legends aren't given forgiveness, they're given expectations. Speaking of core, nothing about Blackpink's DNA needs to change. Only the polish does. Let's pinpoint what that polish looks like on stage and on screen. The identity is intact. Bold visuals, muscular hooks, and choreography that hits like a headline. The polish is where the next leap lives. Give the classics room to evolve. Drop in fresh bridges, switch the final choruses to live ad-libs, let a dance break turn into a crowd call and response, so every city gets its own imprint. If a venue is notorious for echo, lean into hybrid setups that blend track and live elements for clarity. Let cameras breathe. Fast edits can hide the work the dancers are doing. Make the show readable from the floor and the phone at the same time. On the release side, clarity wins. A smaller package can feel massive if the concept is clean and the lead track is undeniable. Save the extras for behind-the-scenes content that arrives on a schedule, not a scramble. When every piece lands on time and makes sense by itself, the whole era feels bigger than it actually is. That's how you turn scarcity into presence. With the Polish defined, we can finally answer the only question that really matters. Are they done? No, the group deal keeps Blackpink alive as a unit. The solo lanes keep each member growing in ways that only help the next reunion. The tour, even with uneven nights, proved demand isn't just intact, it's stubborn. The open variables are timing and execution, and both sit inside their circle, not outside it. If they choose a short focus chapter with one heavyweight single, a couple of new records, and a clean cluster of stadium shows, the timeline will flip in days. If they choose a slower season with prestige stages instead, the name will stay warm until the next real swing. Either way, a brand that fills stadiums by whispering isn't vanishing, it's curating. So the future after this tour isn't a goodbye story, it's a precision story. Fewer moves, smarter moves, sharper sound, cleaner pacing. When the next one lands, it won't feel like maintenance. It'll feel like a decision. And that brings us home. Not survival, but strategy. One that turns patience into power. Blackpink doesn't need to be everywhere to prove they still matter. They need to be surgical when they show up. That's the plan the tour exposed beneath the noise. Protect the engine, spend the brand carefully, and return only when the room is ready to shake. The next chapter won't be louder because it's longer. It'll be louder because it's chosen. And when four leaders decide to collide, the impact writes its own headline. So stay tuned, as the quiet between chapters isn't absence, it's a setup.